This conference will now be recorded.
So yeah, it's not like this entire point of like how like Spark Team gives you this like 1, 2, 3. Here's a perfect here's like you literally made Google or something, right? Like they give you the tools necessary and like funding and support and like Kyler's saying, mentorship, right? To get to where it like becomes more successful. So that's definitely a point. Is there another question?
If it's a similar idea like your organization, then is it worthy to be presented on Spark Team? Could you elaborate a little bit further, Zeros? As in which organization? Okay, I think we should move on to Seth's question, and then I'll get back to Zero's question in a second.
So, how does the process with Spark Team work? If I start a business tomorrow, what could the steps in order to get to Spark Team support? Is there a Discord or forum that where I can contact?
So we do have a Slack channel that we just started, and you can feel free to. I'm actually going to share this invite link with you guys right now.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it.
Okay. I think this is it.
All right. Yeah, actually, here's the invite link, so you should be able to join directly there.
Oh, cool.
But basically, right now, we just opened submissions for Spark Team Accelerator Challenge, so we'll be opening. So basically, like the process is you submit a 5-minute video pitch or a business proposal and a pitch deck to sparkteam.org/challenge. And after that, if you qualify for the semifinalist round, if we say, hey, this is a good business idea with a lot of potential, then you'll then submit a more detailed business proposal and also have a mentorship session with a semi-experienced university mentor. And then after that, if you move on to the finalist round, then you'll get to be a part of a conversation with a super seasoned entrepreneur who will judge and find the final 4 teams. So the top 3 teams, and then also a sustainability award. And those 4 teams will be inducted into the Spark Team Accelerator, where they'll receive this super intense mentorship, where they'll get access to these resources and all of that. And it's totally okay if that business is not really perfected yet, right? Because if you start a business tomorrow, obviously it's probably at a very early stage, and we accept that. That's totally okay. Obviously, it's good to have traction, it's good to have progress. But if it's a really great business idea, if you've shown that you've thought through it and that this is something that could possibly work, then that's definitely something, definitely a place that's definitely okay. And feel free to message me on the Slack channel, shoot me an email, or anywhere else.
Yeah, Kyler's a really easy guy to talk to, so don't be scared. But one thing about the Spark Team thing, like, so from the Helyx side of stuff and like Hack the Helyx, we send 5 teams to the global straight to semifinals in the Spark Team competition. So the top 5 teams chosen by our expert judges in sustainability, data science, and biotech, they'll all like select the top 5 teams to go and compete in the semifinal competition. Is it okay that I may not have the best skill set, but I learn yes, of course. Like, I think I'll like start by answering. Kyler, you can elaborate, but it's like anything, right? Like if I was tomorrow to start programming and like I was like, okay, I want to do this like cool. My end goal is to make this like cool project, right? But like I don't know how to do it yet. So yeah, of course I have to learn to get to the final goal or this final project that I want to do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that if you if it's something super complicated, right? Something that it's going to take a super specialized team of PhDs to understand, and obviously that's a different story. But generally, like let's say you need to learn some coding, not something super advanced, but just learn some skills along the way, then that's definitely always okay. Okay, going back to Zero's question, will you still be eligible for Spark Team, or if it's a similar idea to Spark Team, then is it worthy to be presented on Spark Team? Absolutely. I think that any business can be eligible on Spark Team. Like I'd be totally okay with entering a Spark Team a Spark Team or like organization into the accelerator and then blowing it up, right? That's totally okay with me. And I think that, yeah, this idea of bringing communities together and bringing mentors together is a great model, which is why Spark Team is a thing. And so, yeah, that's definitely eligible.
Yeah. As an entrepreneur yourself, what is your opinion on drop shipping or white labeling as a business for an application for Spark Team support? So, Kyler, you can elaborate. Actually, I'm gonna talk about that like in terms of Hack the Helix and like the Pitch Fest. I would say like in terms of Pitch Fest advice, like doing a drop shipping or white labeling business, it could work, but it's more appealing in terms of in terms of a competitive landscape, in terms of like a marketing perspective, if you do something that's like not drop shipping. How are you? And then Kyler, if you want to expand on that in terms of general Spark Team, that's fine.
Yeah, I agree. So with if you take a look at our rubric, we have a couple things, right? We have feasibility, flammability, and then also innovation and storytelling, and then the last one's like market research, right? And so if you're doing drop shipping or white labeling, then you'll have to have a really compelling reason why it's innovative, and also kind of where you fit in the market, right? Because we want to see that you somehow differentiate yourself from your competitors. And so if you're able to demonstrate that, if you're able to do that, then that's totally okay. I would say any business is acceptable as long as you can compellingly explain how it fits within the rubric.
Kyler, do you want to answer Jalen's question?
How does Spark Team get funding and sponsors? We get our funding from a large number of individual donors and organizations. So we'll have like a pitch deck. We'll have some sort of sponsor proposal that we'll send over beforehand, and we'll go into meetings with these people and explain why Spark Team is so important. And yeah, that's just our process for getting sponsorships.
So yeah, before we get to Zero's question, yeah, so before we get to Zero's and Seth's question, I just want to expand on Jalen's question. How do you like use like how do you even get in contact or like even start like initiative to, you know, get funding and sponsors? Like how do you find the certain people that
I would say that, I mean, obviously you could go down the well-trodden path of cold emailing, but in my experience, that's been super ineffective. And so the best way to go about that is to build a super solid network, right? And so, for example, one of our sponsors in Portland, Reap, became our sponsor because after I saw one of my mentors now, Tyrone, speak at an entrepreneurship event, I went up to him, asked for his business card, talked to him a little bit, set up a meeting with him a week after the program was over. And that conversation just continued, and eventually he said, hey, I'm on the board of this organization called Reap. I would love to connect with them. And so I think that going out there, putting yourself really proactively into positions where you're meeting people who could potentially bring your organization forward, and also getting to meet super cool people, is super, super powerful, right? And that means putting yourself into slightly uncomfortable positions. That means being willing to stand up in front of an audience and say, here's what I'm doing. I'd love to speak to people who might be interested at like your Rotary Club or business organizations, places like that. So putting yourself into positions where you're meeting new people, and then using those connections to sort of branch off and meet more people from that.
Okay, cool. So on Zero's question, how are you judged on the video? So we have our judges, like our expert judges, who like will look over the video, and then Kyler can go over like the, you know, 4 or 5 criteria.
So the video is judged exactly what it says on the rubric, right? Notice that we don't have anything on presentation quality or on video production quality, nothing on that. We're not looking at all on how good the video looks. We're only looking at this.
Before you continue, so the videos that so like something that's changed, so you will submit, everyone who's competing in the Pitch Fest will submit videos to us, and then we will use our judges to judge them, and then after it, people can submit videos to Kyler's organization or Spark Team.
That's all I have. To be sure, is the accelerator for only STEM science-related projects or also potential businesses? It's definitely not only STEM science-related projects. Our partnership with Helyx, Hack the Helyx, is obviously only based on STEM because that's what the organization focuses on, but our other events just focus on general entrepreneurship, so it doesn't have to do with STEM at all.
Yeah, so if you're talking about like Hack the Helyx, like pitches coming out of Hack the Helyx, then preferably they're on STEM and the product that you develop in Hack the Helyx. Okay, so can the business be a nonprofit? Are you talking about Hack the Helyx or Spark Team in general, Zeros? Zeros?
Talking about the idea. I guess we can just talk about both, Yash.
Okay, so for Hack the Helyx, yes. Or actually, no, for both Hack the Helyx and Spark Team, I'm pretty sure businesses can be nonprofits. Yes, that's completely acceptable. How many ideas can you submit? Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, we currently don't have any limitations on the number of ideas you can submit, but I highly recommend focusing on one really good idea, spending a lot of time developing the video and the idea rather than submitting a large quantity, because obviously submitting a large number isn't going to really help you. So I would just choose your favorite one and submit it. If you have two favorite ones that you both think are really, really good, then you can submit both. But note that you can't win on both, right? You can't enter the accelerator with both. Only one of these can eventually make it. But if you want to kind of take two shots rather than one, then you could do that, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah, so remember the hackathon submission deadline for our Pitch Fest is due tomorrow at 4 p.m. So the chances that you've made two like really good business proposals that are like capable of winning and getting to the semifinals by like 3 days is not that high. So I would definitely consider just going for one idea and like definitely advise you heavily to do that. For the accelerator, if it is for potential businesses, does this business need to be started or established? For example, if I have an idea, can I still apply for the accelerator?
You definitely still can. There are a bunch of people submitting who only have an idea. Obviously, it helps to have traction, and even if, let's say you have an idea, right? You develop the idea a little bit, it's rolling through your head. You go out there, call a couple of people, because like obviously you can't go out there and physically customer interview anymore, and you learn a little bit about the problem a little bit more. Then at that point, you still have a little bit of traction, and so demonstrate as much traction as you can just to show that it's feasible, right? But it's totally okay if it's still an idea if it's not actually started or established at this point.
Okay, so so what are the odds of getting funding for from Spark Team? That's John's question.
Well, from the actual accelerator, we're expecting about 150 to 200 submissions, and there are 4 teams that eventually get selected.
Yeah. Has the accelerator been started? At what stage is it?
So this is our first year of starting the accelerator. So no, it has not been started yet.
But at the rate of like prestige that they're holding the accelerator to, we would say that this is going to be like crazy good, and it'll help.
Yeah, we're exploring partnerships with a couple universities and also with Techstars right now. So we're looking for different partnerships that we could possibly use to make the accelerator super, super powerful.
Yeah. Can I contact one of you guys to talk about some other more specific questions? Yes, you can. If you Discord us works, you can find my email, yash.helyx@gmail.com for like on the website, and Kyler's is kyler@sparkteen.org. So
Yep, and also you can join our Slack channel, which is above in the chat, and
you can DM the scholar, So can the video be animated? Yes, the video can be animated, and I think that'd be pretty cool. So yeah.
If I apply to be involved with the Spark team, can I still participate? I think you're talking about being a Pitch Fest organizer. You can definitely still participate because those Pitch Fest events wouldn't actually happen until fall, and you probably wouldn't be in very direct contact until then. So no conflict there.
Yeah. So are there any other questions? If you guys want to unmute and ask your questions, by the way, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that'd be pretty easy.
Yeah.
So
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can
Hello?
hear you. Yeah, we
Okay,
can hear you.
Marie, go first.
Kyler, I just had a question for you. It's pretty specific regarding the accelerator, but for example, what would happen if you have like a business idea or like a business that you made in the past, and that something that gained, that definitely gained some traction, but you stopped it due to like school or some other issues? Because that's what I was just thinking about in my case. Can I still submit that to the accelerator with like the statistics and the data that I had from my previous sales or something like that?
Absolutely, yeah. I think if you plan on picking it back up and we can help you pick it back up with Accelerator, then for sure you can definitely submit that.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
And that also applies to our pitch fest. So yeah, definitely that works.
I think Moeen, did you have a
I had like one or two questions. So the
Yeah.
first one is I saw this thing on Alonchek's Slack, I think, or Discord, and it was how to be involved with Spark Team, and I was actually applying right now. And then I saw this, so I was like, might as well join. So that was for like a state. I think if you wanted to start a chapter in your state or something like that. If I'm do you guys know if that's
Yeah, so Andrew's actually on that, Andrew Gao. And that is actually happening next fall. So applications are open now just to show interest. We'll reach back out in the summer with more information, and then you would be like a fall season Pitch Fest organizer, because obviously everything's canceled because of coronavirus. But what that would look like is essentially hosting an independent Spark Team Pitch Fest event. So kind of like how TEDx works, right? An independent TEDx event hosted by an organizer. And so if you were to apply for that position, then you would essentially be organizing a pitch fest with Spark Team support behind you.
And then from there, can I like move up further in the organization? Like, let's say I want to get involved more with you guys specifically, I can do that also, right?
Absolutely. I think that there are definitely going to be job applications coming out at some point, because we're always looking to expand. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
And then like age, like I'm 15 years old, so is that going to be an issue, or like is
That
that
is
okay?
not an issue.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
And then,
Spark Team's a high school organization, so no.
okay, and the last thing I wanted to ask was like, I had the question in my mind, but then I asked that one. I'll go back to you guys later once I remember it.
Okay. Seth, do you want to unmute? Because I'm off the chat.
Okay, I'm on the chat. So people are asking about the submission deadline. The submission deadline is May 17th, so there's still plenty of time.
Yeah, so the submission deadline for Kyler's competition is May 17th. However, if you want to compete in our local pitch fest, be one of the top 5 teams, submission deadline's tomorrow.
And by local, do you have to be like in a certain area, or like I'm kind of confused?
No, wait, sorry, what do you mean?
So you said that there's a local competition, and then like there was Kyler's competition. What's the difference?
So by local, I mean like our Hack the Helix thing. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, I know. You
Oh,
don't have to be in a specific region.
got it.
And then Zeros is asking what's the difference. We send 5 teams automatically, and it's just like generally like a smaller amount of submissions, and like so like the chance that you have of a semifinals is higher in my opinion. But I don't know if that's entirely
because we fast track 4 or 5 teams from Hack the Helix directly to the semifinalist round. or round 2 of the Accelerator challenge. And then if you don't qualify, even if you don't become part of those 4 teams, then you can still submit again through round 1 of the competition and potentially still make the semifinalist round.
Wait, are you in Hack the Helix, Moen? Okay, so the registration deadline has passed, so sadly I don't think that you can submit anything because we already got our registration deadline. So right now this is like in the process of Hack the Helix, so yeah. Can you send the link to both? I can send the link to the website. Kyler can send the video submission.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Just 1 second. So it's yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions? Or I can
I was wondering, it's a question for Kyler, but like, you said something about return-free investment. Does that just mean like the investors just buying equity in your company, or is it just getting money without any need to return it? Is that basically it?
Yeah,
Or
so it's
no interest or
investment.
something?
Yeah, it's investment with 0 equity. So we don't call it prize money because that's kind of what we're fighting against, right? That's kind of what we want to discourage, because we want you to put, like, we kind of have guidelines to make sure that you put the money back into your company, and we want you to continue working on your company. So the idea is that we're giving you money that you are expected to spend on your company, and that money is essentially conditional on the fact that you continue spending it on your company and not just take it and go buy personal items.
Okay, so are there any other like pitch fest questions, sparking questions, or
Zeros, I mean, I don't have time to register for tomorrow. Oh, is that for the Hack the Helix?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's cool. So Kyler, I have a question.
yeah.
So how do you like? So okay. So like, what kind of like culture exists in your organization? How do you like ensure that it like stays, the same?
So I think the biggest one is that we're an organization that really strives to over deliver on everything, right? So we have two main company values. Number 1 is promise then over deliver, not under promise and over deliver, but just promise then over deliver on that. And then secondly, we have all ideas are equal. So bringing fresh, innovative ideas to the table is always welcome. And we're looking to be an organization that constantly evolves, constantly improves. So I think those are the 2 biggest foundations of our organization.
Okay. So what do you plan to do in university? Oh, like us personally? Wait, Zeros, what is your question?
Yes.
Oh, us personally? Kyler, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I think I'm looking to possibly major in business or entrepreneurship or something like that, and then probably pick up a minor or major in something like CS or some sort of more typical hard skill. And I'm looking to additionally, like, I think one of my major goals in university is to start a company. That's definitely something that I plan on doing.
Yeah, for me, I'm looking to become a computer science major, mainly working in ML and AI, and then after that start a startup with, machine learning, AI, just to help the world. Which universities? We're still 10th graders, but I think we're both, at least I am, competing for one of the top universities, so, in the US.
Definitely open to to everything right now. Not really looking at any specific universities.
Yeah, Kyler and I come from very different. Will this look good on our resume?
Well, Jalen asked, what do you do to stay organized while managing such a large organization? I think it's all about using different things, right? And very clearly segmenting roles. So we have, social media person, that person only manages social media. We don't really have to worry about it. Same thing with marketing. Clearly segmenting the roles allows you to give people the ability to take initiative take ownership and initiative of whatever they're doing, right? So there's no mistaking who does what. And then secondly, using task managing things, consistent follow-ups through meetings, just a lot of different ways of staying organized.
So yeah, I think Helyx follows that same business model. That's why we have, our chief technical officer. So I work mainly on the tech side of things. I, do different things relating to tech. Andrew's our operating officer, and he's our CEO. So he works with finance. He does just general operation. So there's just, so you always want to ensure that everyone is doing their part and everyone's has a specific role. So will this look good on our resume? So Hack the Helyx, if you do well, it does look really good on your resume. So this morning we had a talk with Wang, who has won hackathons, and this has led him to internships and different things because it shows an ability to apply to STEM, and it also allows you to add to your projects list, which is really cool. How can we network? Tyler, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, I think it's just all about constantly being willing to put yourself out there. And I think I know this is very, very vague and very general, but to just overcome your fears, right? You go to some kind of, for example, here's what you can do. You can find a business conference, some sort of monthly thing, Portland Rotary Club, whatever, right? Wherever it is, and say, hey, I'm doing X entrepreneurship activities. I want to come see how it's like, blah, 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 right? You go talk to the speakers, you go talk to the people sitting next to you, go talk to everyone, and you collect business cards, and over time, I think that it just naturally flows. You meet one person who connects you with two other people, and it just keeps on going. And so I think that's the biggest way to network. I don't think there's a specific formula. I think it's just being proactive and being willing to do it out there. Because know that a mentor isn't just gonna fall into your lap, right? It's not like I would say my biggest mentor in all of Sparking, the person who really helped me launch Sparking, Tyrone Poole. The reason that I had the courage to go talk to him, I was in the summer before freshman year. I wasn't someone who was really proactive, wasn't very courageous, wasn't very confident. And the reason that I actually spoke to him after the presentation was because that's what his presentation was all about. It was all about being willing to put yourself out there, understanding that nothing in life is going to happen and just naturally. It's not going to happen, just fall into your lap. You're not going to win the lottery. None of those things are going to happen unless you make it happen for yourself. And so he inspired me in this spirit where for the rest of the week, after every speaker, I'd always go up and talk to them, always collect their contact information, reach out afterwards. So it's just that spirit of constantly connecting and constantly being proactive.
I think a big thing Kyler said was that, people aren't going to come and get you, because at the end of the day, right, the reason, the way networking is you want something out of someone else. So it obviously goes you have to put the effort and the time in to ensure that you get that. So whether that be emailing them, talking to them, a lot of these things, there's so many methods of communication now that you obviously just have to take advantage, but never I'd say the one biggest piece of advice is never try to be oh, they want me, I don't need to, follow up with them or anything, because that definitely can hurt you. So don't do that. And if you build one network, it just, there's a domino effect and you just keep going. So definitely keep at it. So what sacrifices did we make for our initiatives?
I also want to add something to the networking question. So I think the better way of going around networking is the idea of building social connections, right? Because because you don't want it to feel transactional. And regardless of whether that networking connection actually leads anywhere, you're still meeting something super cool who's helping you expand your way of thinking. And so I think that's the best way to go about it, is to think that, hey, you're just meeting someone super cool.
What sacrifices did we have to make for our initiative? So I'll start out with Helyx. So Helyx, in terms of, so we started like December of 2019, and we were like, it was us like on our own. So we had a team of 4 people. We have a team of 4 executives. So the like sacrifices we made were like mainly just basic things. So time and money. So a lot has to start out with initial funding. So a study like recently, I'm pretty sure, said that like 82% of startups like fail because of initial, like due to lack of like initial cash funding. And like, so you obviously have to pour in like time to get that initial funding, and also money to do that too, but also like time to ensure that you know your business model, and like time to ensure that you can plan out your business. Because if you try to dive in and start marketing something that doesn't even exist, then you're just going to lose out.
Yeah, same for me. It's just definitely time. Last summer before the night market, my co-founder Kai and I would just sit down at a table at a cafe and work 8 hours a day for a couple months. And so it's just all about time and being willing to sacrifice your time and effort into this. And honestly, I don't feel like, for me, that doesn't seem like a sacrifice, right? It was just,
Yeah.
It was fun working. It was fun working by the side, feeling like we were doing something meaningful.
Yeah, so that's something I want to talk about. Like none of this is like, oh, I hate this so much, but like it's a sacrifice, right? So like the time that we use is actually pretty fun, and like especially when you have a good team by your side. So I definitely not say that it's a sacrifice in that sense. So what are your strengths and weaknesses, like personally or like business wise? Both? Huh. Kyler, you go first.
Okay, sure. I would say my this is a tough question. It's like an interview question. My strengths, I would say one of my strengths is courage and being willing to reach out and do all those things. My weaknesses, I think that your question earlier about organization, that can sometimes be my weakness, especially when it's so complex, right? Because you're looking at like 5-10 different tasks going on at the same time, and 10 different people, and seeing what they're doing. Like, even if I can manage my own schedule, what I'm doing, it's hard to keep in mind what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, so my personal strengths are probably that I'm really hardworking. So if I don't know something, and like I want to know something, like I'll literally work hours so that I can know it. I've like I have a lot of experience technically, and I've like grown up around an environment that's like cultivating enough like education wise. So yeah. But what are my weaknesses? My weaknesses are probably time management. Not that good. I'm trying to get better at it. My other weakness is like others time, like realizing others tasks. So yeah.
Okay.
But in terms of business perspective, I'd say Helyx's main strengths is our marketing team. We've had 500 people across the nation, and it's not even been that much. We're really good at outside networking, and we've definitely spent a lot of time like talking to industry professionals. We've been and I'd say another strength that we have is we're all dedicated to Helyx, because it means like a lot to us. And like we've put in so much work at this point that it's too late to stop. In terms of weaknesses, I would say that right now, the weaknesses are we're juggling a lot, and eventually it's going to catch up to us. And so we have to get like higher priorities, and like just get better at prioritizing stuff. You can talk
How do we
about
get
Spark.
to know when and where these events are taking place? I'm assuming you're talking about networking events. Number one, the Spark Teen events are always a place to network. That's kind of one of our main purposes in building community. We want you to meet business professionals, meet other teens there. And also, I'm sure you can find some sort of calendar online, right? Like we have a Portland tech startup calendar. And once you go to one of these events, then you'll hear from the other people about other events. So then it'll just kind of naturally flow. And I think you just got to find one and research your local area a little bit.
There's just a lot of like the internet's becoming even more vast, so people post everything and use it as a medium. And remember, people are always marketing, so you're probably gonna find something. Do these meetings and Slack chats count as a form of networking? I would say, yeah, definitely. If you can reach out to someone on Slack, that means you created a connection, whether it be physical or not, that can eventually brigade into like a physical connection.
And literally right after this meeting is over, I highly recommend going to our Slack channel. I'm posting our invite link there again, and just saying hi in the introductions channel, looking at the other people who have said hi, and maybe messaging one of them. And the whole purpose of the Slack channel, which is actually pretty small right now, is to build that networking, build that online network, so that when you're creating an organization, when you're doing the Helyx initiative or the Spark Teen, then you can find people, teens from all around the world who are just as passionate, just as motivated as you are to go out there and do something.
Personally, as a teen entrepreneur, how do you value schooling? Would you sacrifice hours on Spark Teen if it meant hurting or taking away your hours from your schooling?
Okay, I can take that question first. I've had a lot of conflicts with my parents about this because they value schooling a lot more than I do, but I value Spark Teen a lot more. And just because for me, Spark Teen is just so much more value to my personal growth than schooling ever could be. Like there's no like sometimes I'm sitting in class and I'm just bored out of my mind and I'm thinking about how I could be in a meeting right now or how I could be working on Spark Teen. And so I've definitely sacrificed hours on schooling for Spark Teen, just because for me entrepreneurship is such like a way more valuable learning experience that I don't think schooling could ever replicate.
Yeah, so I think that I'm gonna have to agree with Kyler on this. So I go to California school known as Cancrest Academy, and we're like nationally known for how competitive we are. So it's definitely a balance and a struggle to deal with Helyx and like school. And I feel like you said that like hurting or taking away hours from schooling. I would say that there's definitely ways that you can still be good at school, and like it's all about time management and how you want to put in time. And it's also about working hard and working smarter than working harder, because you definitely lose time if you work. So that's like both applicable to like our entrepreneurs and like our businesses and schooling, because if you work smarter on both, then you'll just have more time to do both. Where did I learn to code? So I learned to code in a bunch of different places. I would highly recommend working on projects. I think the only reason that I'm at the place where I am in terms of coding is because I saw an interest in programming, and I was like that's definitely something I was like, okay, this is really cool. But it only originated from projects. But I'd also say don't force yourself to learn coding, because at the end of the day, if you're sitting down typing a bunch of stuff and just like not interested, and like the only thing you're gaining out of it is, you know, typing stuff that like could maybe work on your resume, it's stupid. You're just never gonna like what you do. So the reason I'm still programming is because I like it, and I like actually enjoy every time I, type a line of code or anything like that. If I submit an idea that I've already started working and is slowly working out, then will this be an add-on advantage to be selected?
I'm assuming you're talking about the Accelerator challenge. definitely is an advantage, always an advantage to show that you already have a track record, that you already have proof of concept, things like that. Showing that you already have traction is definitely going to help you prove feasibility and flammability.
Okay. This has been good. Does anyone else have any other questions? Does anyone else any other questions? Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, let's go over the like Color, do you want to do it?
But Yash, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Go dude. Check the thing you just sent me.
Oh, yeah. So I highly want to. Sorry, okay. So I was telling Yash to go into our Slack and make an introduction because we have a channel on our Slack channel for Spark Team Cohort, which is kind of where we'll be hosting our Spark Team community online. And so if you go onto Spark Team Cohort, make an introduction on the channel, say hi, just like explain, hey, this is like, my name is Kyler. I'm interested in writing, history, entrepreneurship. Do a quick introduction there and see if there's anyone else in there that you might be interested in connecting with. I guess that's sort of my closing message here.
Okay. If anyone has any other questions, then no? Okay. Where did you
I just wanted to close off and say you guys did a really good job on like
thank you.
answering questions and stuff. Like, thank you. Cause like I don't know, I've been really interested in entrepreneurship and like engineering for a while. But, like I didn't know how to chase it or how to go from like just not knowing anything to actually learning something. So like that's why I applied to LaunchX. Like when I got in, I was so excited, but then I got canceled to the online
Yeah,
program.
I heard.
So, yeah, all of that happened. And like I saw like maybe a question is that do you guys think that LaunchX virtual is feasible? Because that's what I mean. That's basically what's left. So I applied to that.
Kyler's your LaunchX dude.
That's a question I'm tackling right now too, because I think I'm going to be an intern because I was going to be at Penn, and now I think I might be an intern for LaunchX Virtual. So I'm just as interested in how they're going to do that as you are. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I know the most powerful part of LaunchX for me was meeting the other people and
Yeah, that was that
coming from sleepy Portland, Oregon, and being placed into LaunchX was hugely impactful for me. And so I just want to see how they're able to create that same immersion and like mutual connection between all the students online. And so if that's so if that's true, then I definitely think it may still be valuable.
Yeah, I'm worried because it's really hard to develop chemistry over like a screen, especially like with the team I'm gonna be with. Like I don't know who they are obviously, but like when I do, how are we gonna connect our ideas and create something that is actually viable while being, who knows, hundreds of miles away from each other.
Yeah, so a thing that Kyler, so just like backstory, Kyler, the only reason like we know Kyler is because of Andrew Gao, and Kyler and Andrew were roommates, so at LaunchX. So like I think that was definitely an important connection for both of us, and it was like that's not gonna happen. Like who are you gonna room with online? Like no. So definitely something that's gonna hurt, but yeah.
All right, great. We can just do this last question from Jalen. Have you ever turned down a client and why? I've never turned down a client personally. What about you, Yash?
No, we need all the money we can get. When did you charter the business? What do you mean? Like, he said, when did you charter the business? Jalen.
I'm not sure. When did we incorporate? I would say I think it was probably July of last year.
When did we create ours? Helyx was created in December. All right, zeros. When did it blow up? It like gradually blew up is what I'm gonna say. Like Helyx gradually got more and more and more members. So yeah, Sparky, I don't know.
I don't think there was ever a single point where it blew up. I think it just slowly gained more and more traction. Have you ever had any previous for-profit businesses? How did they go? I kind of, so obviously like my LaunchX company never took off, but I also before that, back in 8th grade, I had this company that was sort of, it wasn't really entrepreneurship. It wasn't really kind of innovative, you know, it wasn't one of those typical entrepreneurial stories, except it was just sort of, I guess it was kind of this class. We had like financial literacy class. We had a bunch of different classes. Like we hired a bunch of teachers, so it was kind of like a tutoring network, except a little bit more focused on mentorship than just like classical teaching. And I would say it went decently well. Made a little bit of revenue, but we kind of just died off after we kind of lost interest in doing it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks, Jalen.
Oh yeah, I was working with a couple of my friends in middle school at that point.
Okay, so I think I'm going to close off the meeting. Thank you guys for all coming, and we'll post the recording just in case you want to go back, and because we did talk about a lot of important stuff. So yeah, I will post that now.
All right,
cool.
Thanks, Yash, for organizing this.
Yeah, no problem. And if you guys have any other questions, like feel free to go on the Slack and like DM Kyler or the Discord and DM Kyler. I'm always free. You'll just see my name, so just feel free to DM me. Yeah.
Great.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Kyler.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. See ya.
See ya.